Thank you, Tim. Yeah, this is Doug Van Tassel. I'm the CEO of Paragon, and I want to welcome everyone today. Thank you for joining. Interesting times that we're in, and I hope everyone is well and safe. We just thought the timing of this was good to look at some changes in supply chain that are certainly happening out there, some faster than others, and just give people an opportunity to see an application we built that allows you to search for parts very quickly and identify if there's parts available or solutions available. With me today is Tim Vickers. Tim is our Senior Database Manager and the architect and builder of the Paragon application, as well as Ty Smith, our Chief Operating Officer. And Tim will be doing the demo, and Ty will be simulating just some scenarios that you out there would be into on a daily basis or regular basis, as far as trying to find parts, emergent parts, solutions for reverse engineering or repair. So this is a portal that connects suppliers and utility inventory into one hub. So looking at the agenda, we're going to do I'm going to provide just a brief overview and get out of the trailers here and get you right into the actual demo, because that's why you signed up today. And as we get through the demo, then in the end, we'll talk about some of the things we're looking to do next for Peaks, and then any questions you may have. So with that, you can proceed on. So with us today, we have over 60 people on this call, representing the majority of the U.S. nuclear fleet is represented here: Dominion, Southern, Exelon, USA, Stars, NextEra, pretty much the whole fleet. We also have the CANDU Canadian plants on, as well as Spain and Mexico. So some international representation. We also have representatives from the DoD and the DOE on this call as well. So what is Peaks? Peaks is like a lot of the tools you use every day online. It's a combination of information and data, some technology that allows all that to come together, and in the background, the people to make all that work. This is somewhat unique, and this brings you to some of our supply chain experts that can help find a part. Many of you use Paragon already to source difficult parts or day-to-day parts. So it's an extension of that puts more of the power in your hands to be able to use the search tool to see what's available and from where. So what makes up the data is we have about 75% of the US fleet's inventory in Peaks, and Tim will elaborate on that. We also have nuclear and commercial suppliers and reverse recovery companies in here. So both inventory material, and the intellectual property. Paragon recently acquired Nuclear Logistics Incorporated in Texas, and that added about 15,000 part numbers into the intellectual property pool that can be searched here, as well as a lot of inventory, commercial and safety related inventory. And then the decommission plants are also posted in this site. So the Holtec plants they've taken over that inventory. It didn't go away. It's still shown here as for sale, if it is for sale. On the other side of that wheel, you can see that our real expertise and our real differentiation is the 24/7 support that we have. So this tool connects you with those people. In addition to that, it makes it one-stop order point. So it truly is, as much as we can make it, the Amazon of nuclear parts. Obviously, there's not a buy it now button. I don't know if we'll ever have that with all the particulars that go on in buying nuclear parts, but it's something we talked about. And then on obsolescence, this is a portal you can look at known solutions as well. So if there's a match in there by a part number that's been reverse engineered, repaired, dedicated, or is available in surplus, it could be a short or medium term bridging strategy, or a long term from a system level, if it's already been solved. Okay. So when should you use it? A lot of the people that use Peaks, it's one of the first things they open up in the morning after they see, what's in their buyer's queue, to see what's the availability of those parts. in the industry from either utility overstock or suppliers. Who should use it? Really anyone looking for a part. A buyer, an expediter, a planner, procurement engineer, system engineer. We have a lot of instrumented control, repair, reverse engineered, and surplus data in here as well. And then how do you find it? So this is what we're going to show you today. You just open up the website. There's no login. There's no subscription. You just go in and look for your part. And if you find it, you hit the request a quote button, and we do the rest of the work for you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tim.
Thanks, Doug. Before we get started today, just a couple of quick notes. Since we do have such a large number of people on the call, 80 people responded affirmatively. Don't know what the final count ended up being. But we're going to leave all the microphones muted for everybody to have a better experience. We're all united these days with barking dogs and kids in the background. If you hear something that sounds like a hyena, that would be my dog. If you have a question, please feel free to take advantage of the question and answer button at the bottom of the Zoom interface, and we'll answer all of your questions at the end of the presentation. If you have any trouble with audio or video during the call, please use the chat function to bring it to our attention. A link to the webinar recording on YouTube will be provided after the call to ensure that you and anybody on your team with whom you wish to share it will have access to all the information that we cover today. As Doug pointed out, Ty is going to be introducing scenarios from the perspective of the plants, and I'm going to be demonstrating how to use peaks to accomplish the objectives that he lays out. If this is your first time using peaks, or you're using peaks from a new machine, how do you find peaks? Well, we can be found from Google. So if you go search for Paragon Nuclear, or Paragon Peaks, or Paragon Energy, all of those will bring you right to our front door. So we show up as the top result here. And this is where you can perform your search. As Doug pointed out, there's no logon required. There's no special permissions. You just go to the website and start searching for your part right away from this section right at the top of the page. Search here for your part. Peaks is a free application. There's no subscription required. It just connects you to Paragon services. It's also accessible from mobile devices. So all the things that we take a look at today will also be available from your mobile devices, from your phones, from your iPads, and other devices like that. So before we do our first search, go through our first scenario, I'm going to talk a little bit about what really is being searched when we do a search here on the catalog page. We're searching through inventory located at Paragon warehouses, including inventory from NLI, which Paragon acquired on February 28th. We're also searching through all of our engineering solutions, which include repair, reverse engineering, and commercial grade dedication. We search through 7.2 million utility inventory records that are provided to peaks by sites on a weekly basis, some on a daily basis. We receive both overstock and in-stock inventory information. We receive demand and usage data from the plants, which is really important to vet the data to improve the connection between the buyer and the seller. We also include both nuclear and fossil inventory. Further, we include inventory from strategic partners like NRI and from decommissioned plants like Oyster Creek and Pilgrim. And with each one of these categories, Peak searches through the part numbers, the alternate part numbers, manufacturers, and descriptions to give you your results. Okay, with all of that background out of the way, Ty, could you please lead us in the first scenario?
Sure thing, Tim, and thanks for everybody that's joining us today. We really appreciate it. So let me give you a scenario that I think many of our customers are familiar with. Let's say that I'm a supply chain professional working at a power plant, and it happens to be the week that I'm on call for the station. So it's about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I wake up to a phone call with the plant telling me that they've entered a 72-hour LCO. Now, maintenance has identified the failed part, and it's a trip reference card for an APRM system. Of course, as luck would have it, we don't have any in stock. So I'm sitting at the dining room table. I'm doing my best to be quiet and not wake the family. And I'm looking for quick information and a solution that I can call back to the plant with to get things started. So can you show me how to get started with that on Peaks?
Yeah, I sure can, Ty. And one thing to point out is, as Ty mentioned in the scenario, this is available from anywhere, even if you find yourself working from home from the dining room table these days. So let's start by searching for this part number. And we go to the search box, enter the part number, and either hit return or hit the magnifying glass. and we see our results. And the first thing that we notice is we do indeed have both safety and non-safety related in stock. And Ty, is this a safety related or a non-safety related item that you're looking for?
In this case, Tim, it's a safety related part.
Okay, so in this case, safety related part, and we also see that we do have engineering solutions available for this, both repair and reverse engineering. You can also see our 24/7 contact information in the bottom left-hand corner, both phone number and email address. And in order to get more details on the sources for this item, you can either click on the image or view all the buying options with the button over here. For any items that we have in inventory within a Paragon warehouse, we'll have pictures, or if we've done any engineering solutions, repair, reverse engineering, commercial grade dedication, we'll have pictures of those items. You can move your cursor over the larger image to get a nice zoomed in display. And for pictures, we try to make sure we get identifying markings in here so you can get a closer look and make sure that it is a match for you. And if we have nameplates, things like that, we get a nice close-up shot of those nameplates. If you want to look at one of the other images here, just click on that image. It'll replace it here, and you can zoom in at that point. On the right-hand side, you'll see where we found this part. We did find safety-related and non-safety in stock, which means they're available immediately for shipping. We also found safety and non-safety related from the utility inventory that we have in Peaks. Note, of course, that if we need to obtain the part from the utility, then it's subject to release by the plants. We do everything we can using the demand and usage data to vet the information and make sure that we improve the odds that you're going to be able to obtain that part. But sometimes there's still going to be circumstances that prevent us from being able to get it from the part. So we'll continue looking elsewhere. You also see at the bottom listed our different solutions, repair and reverse engineering. So if everything looks good, let's go ahead and hit request quote. Now, as you look at this form, you see pretty standard information. Fill in your basic contact information. Include the quantity that you will need, and it's very important that you include that it is indeed safety related, and also that it's emergent. You want to include a brief message that might help expedite the process. And if in addition to your immediate need, you'd like to hear more about repair and reverse engineering solutions, you can check those as well. Now notice that we list the 24/7 contact information here again. You may want to follow up with a phone call because sometimes it's better to hear a reassuring voice on the other end of the phone. But we do encourage you still to submit this request so that everybody's on the same page. We get the part number spelled exactly right, and it also goes directly into our ticketing system so we can track all the work that gets done helping you fulfill the request. So after that, we'll just hit send a quote request. Now, as soon as you hit that send quote request button, the following things are going to happen. You receive a copy of the request. The 24/7 Paragon team receives a copy of the request. And as I said before, it goes directly into our ticketing system. So it looks something like this. You can see that it's highlighted, that it is safety related and it is emergent, so that we have all of that information with us. Now, from this point forward, the Paragon team is going to do the following things. They're going to follow up with you to let you know that they're working on the request, and they're going to confirm all the information to make sure they have everything straight. If it's marked as emergent, as we did in this case, then you can expect to hear a follow-up from the team within 15 minutes, 24/7, around the clock. If it's non-emergent and it's during regular business hours, then you're probably going to get about the same turnaround time. If it's after hours, then you may need to wait until first thing in the morning the next business day. Now, if the part that we found, and we had to ask a utility inventory, we found it in utility inventory and had to request that part, then the Paragon team is going to contact the site with the part using an up-to-date 24-hour call-out list that gets provided to us on a regular basis from each site or from a fleet for every site in the fleet. So around the clock, we know exactly who to call to get inventory released. Once we contact that person, we're going to confirm the available quantity, ask if the plant can release the requested quantity, request a quote for that item, obtain any relevant paperwork and potentially images just to make sure that this is indeed the item that you're looking for. Then communicate all that information back to you, the requester. If everything sounds good to you, then upon your confirmation, we'll also arrange the shipping and even international shipping, because we have strategic partners that are already experts at all the ins and outs of international shipping. So that's pretty important. Paragon does all the heavy lifting to fulfill your transaction here. This is an important thing to remember in this process, is that Peaks itself, what we're looking at today, is not the product. The Paragon team fulfilling your order from quote request all the way through to delivery, that's the product. Everything else we do here within the application is just supporting that. So let's take a look at another example here. In this first example we looked at, all was right with the world. We found results, we requested the quote, and the Paragon team went out and looked for it and brought it back to us. What happens if you do a search and you don't find it within the Peaks database? What do you do differently in that situation? The good news is you really don't do much different at all. You still fill in the information the same as you did before, include the quantity, whether it's safety related, if it's emergent and important messages, and check these boxes if you want to get additional information for the engineering solutions, and then send a quote request. All of that is very much the same. The only thing really different is on our end, the Paragon sourcing specialist has to look at other sources other than the Peaks database because we didn't find it there. In fact, this particular part number is a real case from just a couple of weeks ago. And our sourcing specialist was indeed able to find this part through some alternate surplus source. So just because you can't find it in Peaks or maybe can't find it across the industry, we can still consult some other sources and try and locate that part. So don't give up on it too quickly. Let us still help. Okay, so that's it for these first two pieces of the first scenario. Ty, how about going on to the next scenario?
Yeah, sure thing, Tim. So here's the next scenario I'm kind of interested in exploring together. So after an INC maintenance team has completed, scheduled maintenance at the station, and they often have several circuit cards, modules, power supplies, or maybe even entire drawers that they've pulled out of the plant. Now those parts shouldn't go straight into the garbage, especially since we know many of them are obsolete or have very long lead times. And we all know that obsolete parts are like gold at power plants these days. Is there an easy way that I can review the parts that I've pulled out of service and determine which of those parts should go out for repair? And I'm trying to keep in mind that, a repaired card or module is typically a third of the price of a new safety related card.
Yeah, absolutely. In the other two examples that we've shown already, we just search for an individual part number, but you can just as easily paste a list of part numbers here. You can copy from a spreadsheet or from a document or from an email, any source that you have for a list of part numbers, and just copy and paste it into the search field and get results for these all at once. And since we're looking for items that you might want to repair, you can go through this list and see, yes, this one was marked for repair, which means we either have repaired it in the past or we can repair it. Because we're always doing more analysis and helping facilities identify potential repair opportunities. So one way or the other, we can help you with that item. And we see this next one as well, can be repaired, reverse engineered. And we get down to a couple that we find in inventory within the Paragon warehouse, but we haven't done repairs on them as yet. Well, this is another chance to not give up on something if you think that you're wanting to perhaps get this item repaired or some other kind of solution with it. I recommend that you go ahead and click on that item and go through the regular request quote process. And notice that in this situation, since we didn't find any repairs or any other engineering solution, you don't have checkboxes over here. That's just fine. Just include that detail in your message. You can ask, can you repair this card? And just send it on its way. And our INC team will get back to you with information and say, yes, we can, or no, we can't. Or what you can also do is just include the entire list that you were taking a look at. So you don't have to go through and send a quote for each and every one. You just say, can you provide quotes for any of these cards? And just paste that entire list in there and hit send the quote request, and we'll take care of the rest, just like everything else. Okay. How about the next scenario, Ty?
All right, Tim. So for our third and final scenario, I'm going to start looking for a solution for an obsolete part or system component as let's say that I'm a plant system engineer, procurement engineer, or, a nuclear supply chain professional. How can I determine what solutions exist, for obsolete parts and components within peaks?
This is going to come as a shock to you, Ty, but I have a perfect example for this.
That's like we rehearsed this before.
So if we search for this particular item, this particular item is an obsolete part that's popped up in many plants' top 10 obsolete items lists. And this is something that Paragon already has a solution for. We've helped utilities save about $40 million in upgrade costs on this item alone through repair, dedication, reverse engineering, and also through utility surplus. Now, one of the things that I want to clarify here is that Peaks is not an obsolescence tool. It's not a product in competition with any of the other tools on the market that deal with obsolescence. What Peaks is specifically showing you are solutions from Paragon, Paragon Strategic Partners, solutions from NLI, which is now a part of Paragon, and from utility surplus that can help you find solutions for obsolescence and all the other scenarios that we've already taken a look at here. So you can see that this item, as I said before, has already been repaired, dedicated, reverse engineered, and it follows the same process as all the other things you've taken a look at. So you look at the buying options, and this time in your message, you just specify, and I'm not going to type the message this time, that you're looking for an obsolescence solution and check all the different options that you're interested in helping you resolve that particular issue. Now, something else that I want to show you with this particular item, so far we've been searching within Peaks to find items, but this particular item and all the other engineered solutions, you can actually search for on Google as well. Now, one of the things that becomes a challenge on Google is that we don't have control over Google, so we can't control the results that come back and the order and all that stuff. There are things that we can do to bump up our results, but I can promise you we're not here talking about quantum mechanics, or I guess that's more quantum mechanics there. But if you click on this link, the third link, you'll get right back to where we were before. So while it's not our recommended solution when you're wanting to find solutions from Paragon to go out to Google, you certainly can do that. And you can also find inventory out on Google as well. But really the best solution is to come here using the techniques we've already shown to search within Peaks, because we do have control of the way the results are displayed here, and we're always working to improve the way they're displayed so they're more relevant to what you're looking for. So we do encourage you to choose that path. Okay, so this concludes our live demo of the Peaks application. What I want to do next is turn it back over to Doug so he can say a few words about what's next for Peaks.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. That was great. You guys did a great job. Appreciate it, and appreciate everybody being on today. So the one thing that we are adding that I think is going to be really beneficial, we are close to getting it done in time for this, is a live chat feature. So if you're going in here and doing an inquiry, you immediately have the option to use the chat feature to be speaking with the person on the other end that's fielding your request and giving you live updates and as they search for the part and check with the plant for availability of releasing that part, or selling it from inventory, all those types of things. We're constantly improving the performance of this machine as far as the speed intelligence of the searches. It's quite intelligent now. It's reaching into a one-to-many type of view. So it's looking at all the associated CAD IDs that are in there, all the plants, all the other part numbers that are associated to that, and also into the long descriptions. So when you look at that return screen, when you get a hit on a part, you'll see a list there of alternate part numbers. So it gives you more options to search, and we're continually improving that and cleaning out part numbers and the way that it works. And now as we, since the acquisition of NLI, and it really increased our footprint internationally and with DoD and DOE, we'll be talking to them about, do they have more of a need for this type of application to, really be utilized across the board. We've already started expanding this out to the fossil fleets as well. So we've got several signed up, and we'll be continuing that. But we see a new market or a new segmentation for international DoD and DOE, where we can create a portal maybe specific to them, or something that crosstalks between all these facilities. So that's what we're working on. So we can take questions now.
Okay, I'm going to take a look at the questions that have been asked so far. And if you think of questions while we're going through these, go ahead and submit them. The first question is, can we use the Google search parameter, quote, site:site to search through peaks? For example, site paragones.com and the part number. That exact syntax is not going to work, but I tell you what, I'll spend some time coming up with the right syntax for you, and I'll get right back to you on that. I'll make sure that everybody on the list gets that same syntax. That is possible. The next question we have is more of a procedural one. Can we get a list of today's webinar attendees? I'm not really sure what the implications of that are. Can Ty or Doug answer that maybe? I think we have to check with everyone before we can do something like that, right?
Yep, I think you're right, Tim. We'll talk about it and see what we can do for you guys.
Okay, the next question is, what happens if we only know the manufacturer and some specific characteristics of the part, but not the part number? Example, pressure transmitter of ABB 3 to 15 PSI. You're right, we didn't spend time showing that today, but for sure you can include those kinds of things on the search. The manufacturer list actually has a drop-down list for manufacturers. You start to type the name, it'll provide manufacturers for you. And then in the description, you enter as much information as you have, like pressure transmitter, ABB, 3 to 15 PSI, and look for those results. If you have any problem at any time with any results, something you would expect to be able to find, please reach out to us using the contact us at the top of the page, and we'll help dial that in for you. But yes, indeed, you can search without part numbers. Are there any other questions? So far, we just have those three. Oh, okay, this is a very good question. Is this real-time data updates? So for the information that we have from the utilities, we get that data at least once a week, and some of them on a daily basis. For all the information from Paragon warehouses, and also for the intellectual property, the engineered solutions for repair, reverse engineering, commercial grade dedication, those are all real time. They're kept in sync with our ERP system all day, every day. So the next question is, in regard to search by name, oh, actually, this is a statement. It says, send your request to Paragon, and we're able to create reports and filter and search to help. So if you are searching for things by a category of thing, and you don't find it here, we can also dig into all our other resources to help you find that solution. What we saw here today for peaks is actually just the tip of the iceberg. We use peaks logged in within Paragon, and it's much, much larger than what you saw today. We have a lot of other information at our fingertips, so we can help compare everything that we have within our IP to inventory within your warehouse. Okay, so the next question is, what is the exact difference between utility solution offered at peaks and non-utility solution? So in the results where we saw that we found inventory for safety and non-safety within Paragon, that meant that we had that inventory within a Paragon warehouse. And so we can go right out to the warehouse, put our hands on it, and ship it to you immediately. For the items that were found from a utility, from the inventory that's provided to us on a weekly basis or a daily basis, we have to contact the utility and see if they will release that part. And if all of the demand and usage has given us the information we need, then we've increased the odds of being able to get that part from the utility. In the end, they still have the right to say, we're not able to release it this time. That does indeed happen sometimes, and we look elsewhere or communicate back to you that we can't obtain the part. Let's see. The next question is, Does the data in Peaks feed to Rapid? The information from Peaks for Paragon warehouses does indeed feed into Rapid. So you will be able to see Paragon inventory there. You'll be able to see our engineering solutions, and you'll also be able to see NLI inventory and NLI engineering solutions. So yes, we do indeed feed that into Rapid. It's just another beginning of the search to get connected to Paragon for our inventory and services. We do not send any utility data from Peaks up to Rapid. Rapid has its own data feed connected directly to the utilities to get that information. Next question is, what about the other utilities companies regarding real-time data? Well, we're certainly always looking to improve the frequency of receiving the data. It ends up not really being practical to have real time, but for those sites that are providing data to us, we're always working to improve both the quality and the frequency of obtaining the data. So we make it as close to real time as we can, but it's really only practical to do it in a batch mode on a daily or a weekly basis. Let's see, the next one is, for items that have offered repair services, are the test and certification options viewable? They are not viewable from the website, but they are absolutely viewable if you follow through with that request for quote. It'll be routed to our INC group, and they will respond to you with all that documentation. Have you talked with other suppliers to include their inventory, specifically Framatome, Park Company, Radwell, etc.? Yeah, we definitely have done that, and we're continuing to change our options there. In fact, Park Company does indeed have their data within Peaks, but at their request, it's not available from Peaks for you to search. It is available for us as a sourcing option when we're going through and looking for items for you, but they ask that their information shows up only from their catalog, and we're absolutely fine with that, of course. We are looking for other partnerships as well. Madison Testing is another one that we have been talking to about representing data within the application. And so, yep, that's a great idea. We want to continue to create those strategic partnerships to expand the database. One thing important to note is that if an item were to be found at Framatome, using that as the example, you can find it in Peaks. The process follows exactly as we said before, where you go ahead and submit your quote, and the Paragon person is now responsible for finding it at Framatome or Park or Radwell or any of these other sites. So even if we don't yet have that data on hand, some of these are absolutely places that we go to. In fact, we work with Park an awful lot. I see several requests come through a week for things that are found in their warehouse that we may not have in ours. So we definitely work together on all those items. Okay, are there any more questions? Okay, it looks like that's our last question. If you think of any questions later, please feel free to reach out to us directly. That certainly often happens where right after the call, you wish you had asked this, or maybe when you go try it for the first time and you want to see how Peaks really works for you and your organization, reach out to us and we'll certainly give you guidance and how to use it if you have any issues, and also work on fulfilling all your transactions for you. As stated earlier, when we send out a follow-up email to everyone that attended the meeting today, we'll include a link to the YouTube recording of the seminar, as well as a link to the presentation that we showed as we went through. If you have any further questions, please get back to us. Everyone have a great day and take care.
Thank you.